So here we are around June 13th, and I think this is a perfect segue, being that the entire state of Florida is literally being poured on with rain. Sarasota, Tampa area, Miami, Broward, Palm Beach, just being flooded in different areas. So we're coming upon hurricane season. And I want to talk about 5 things that we learned from Hurricane Ian when it comes to hurricane damage insurance claims. It's very telling. And I think this will help a lot of you prepare if we have a hurricane here in Florida. And you know what? For that matter, Texas or Alabama or Louisiana, any of these coastal areas. I think we've seen the playbook. It's very similar to a lot of things, whether it's sports, politics. Sometimes when you know the playbook, you'll know and be better prepared. You'll know what to do and you'll be better prepared on how to handle it. So we're going to talk about their playbook because they gave it away in Hurricane Ian. So who am I? I'm your favorite and only YouTube public adjuster. I am licensed in the state of Florida. If you have questions or you need help with a claim, I try to become available as much as possible. This is my cell phone number, email, and my website. So if you've seen any of my videos from a couple years ago, I talk about how maybe you can try and do things yourself, and it's probably not necessary to hire an attorney or a public adjuster all the time, especially if you had a claim that was a little bit lower in value or the damages aren't that great. But if you had a lot of damage, it probably makes sense to hire somebody to represent you. That was always my philosophy. The last year, 2, so I think I started making these videos, 3 years ago? So yeah, the last year or 2, time flies. Mostly the last year, I've changed that philosophy. And a lot of it has to do with not only the Hurricane Ian, but things that I saw leading up to this point. So number 1, again, this is my opinion. I still see people making the same mistake and trying to deal with the insurance company. Why? In car accidents, attorneys blatantly advertise on the radio. Do not talk with the insurance company, okay? Do not talk with them. Get an attorney. Use that same thinking for your homeowners claims, okay? Yes, there's some commitments that you have to make as far as cooperating under the policy. However, that still doesn't mean you should try and dive in by yourself. I mean, I think 5 to 10 times a week, I get a call or an email from people telling me, Mike, my claim got denied. And then I review everything that they've done, and I'm just like, why didn't you call somebody to help you? Why? And I think the answer always is, I'm going off on a tangent, we'll get on this. The answer, I believe, whether they tell me or not, is this. People trust the insurance companies for some damn reason. I have no idea. Anyhow, let's get into this. So, my opinion, get somebody to represent you right away. You don't have to listen to me. It's just my thinking and the way I am telling people now. Documentation against the insurance company. Okay, so you want to have as much documentation as possible about things that they didn't do. When did they contact you? How long did it take them to contact you? Was it by mail? Was it by phone? All these stuff you should write down. Listen, if it's a bad hurricane, you're not going to have power. You should be able to do this. But even if you do have power come back on, document all the bad crap that the insurance company failed to do. Again, in Hurricane Ian, things I noticed. A lot of things were screwed up, even on something so devastating as a Cat 5 storm. People did some things that they shouldn't have done. And a lot of that was them trying to handle it themselves. So experience matters when you're dealing with the insurance company, because if you know what they do and how they do it and when they do it, again, the playbook. If you know the insurance company playbook, you know how to deal with them. Because these companies, as we learned through Hurricane Ian, all over TV, all over newspapers, all over social media, whether it be Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, they were playing dirty, doing shady, dirty stuff to people. We're going to get into that. So let's talk about claim adjusters. Okay. Number 2 thing that we learned. The majority of these guys are coming from other states. We always knew that. Okay. But you, the homeowner, may not know that. So 95% of these guys are going to write lowball estimates. I think, and I've thought about this for a while, there needs to be a law passed that if an adjuster and an insurance company, together, separately, or whatever it is, so these quote unquote independent adjusters write estimates for the insurance company. And as we learned from Hurricane Ian, insurance companies sometimes will change it with or without their knowledge, the estimate, to make it lower. Okay? What I believe should happen is this, and this will be one way to correct this entire shady criminal enterprise and industry with claims. If an adjuster writes an estimate and there happens to be a settlement, or there happens to be a lawsuit and then a settlement or an appraisal, whatever it is, that the final outcome is determined, and it's $20,000 or greater than the estimate written by the quote-unquote independent claim adjuster and stamped by the insurance company, or lowered by the insurance company. If it's $20,000 more, there should be a fine for the adjuster of $10,000, and the insurance company, it should be a heck of a lot more. Okay, I'm going to say 100,000. If there's repeat offenses, and I don't know what that would be, 10, 5, 20, whatever that number is that lawmakers want to come up with, then it turns into a criminal matter for both the insurance company and the adjuster. Because that's the only way this is going to stop this criminal activity of screwing people. Anyhow, let's go. I would videotape the adjusters that come to your house. A lot of them came without ladders, and then later on, the insurance company tried to say that, hey, you never allowed us the opportunity to look at the roof. So there's a lot of issues with this. Also, sometimes the adjusters are saying, oh, there was no exterior damage to the fence, or whatever the case might be. And yet they're telling people in person, we're going to write for all this. You're going to get all this money. Videotape these people, please. So what else we learned is that a couple, it's very rare, a couple good, honest adjusters became whistleblowers against companies like Heritage, who changed their estimates without them knowing and left their name and imprint on that estimate. Number 3, payments. What we learned from Hurricane Ian. 80% of the claims that I saw had initial payments of $10,000 to $30,000, irregardless of how much damage you have. I've seen houses $200,000, $300,000, $1 million. And very, very rarely, this might even be 90% actually. 90% of claims I saw had initial payment between $10,000 and $30,000, irregardless of how much damage you had. Think about that. Now, Other things that I saw, higher value claims. In other words, homes that had $500,000, $700,000, $1 million or more. Yes, they were nicer homes. I saw $0 payments. Some of my clients still haven't received a dollar. We are almost 2 years. I had to think what year we were in. We're in June of 2024, June 13th. It's going on, we're a couple months away from 2 years, and these people haven't been paid a penny yet. Okay? So do not, let me repeat this, do not expect any complete 100% full value payments. It doesn't happen. This is a fairy tale. You will not get every penny that you need to rebuild your home. Let me say this 100 times. You will not get, now this is what we learned from Hurricane Ian. You will not get every penny that you need to rebuild. It won't come close. You will not get anything close. Okay? State of Florida, as we've seen from Hurricane Ian, they will not punish insurance companies for delaying payment, for not making payments, etc. They are part of the system. The insurance companies donate to their campaigns, give them kickbacks. Politicians will not do a thing. They'll talk about it. Nothing ever happens to the insurance company. So Heritage recently got fined $1 million. And funny enough, their annual revenues is over $700 million. So that $1 million is literally like us getting fined $1. It's a slap on the wrist. It's an embarrassment. But they had to make it look like they were doing something. Please don't forget, like this video. If you have a comment you want to make, go ahead and feel free to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. So let's talk about Citizens, because they are the largest insurer in Florida, and what we learned from Hurricane Ian with regards to Citizens. The adjusters and Citizens have to, like every other insurance company, collaborate because of the low ball payments I've seen. Essentially, Citizens was paying 20 to 30 cents on the dollar. Okay? What does that mean? So, you have $100,000 in damages approximately. Citizens is paying you between $20,000 and $30,000. They're forcing you into something called an appraisal. All right? An appraisal is this. Citizens hires an appraiser. You have to hire an appraiser. If you have a public adjuster, he can be your appraiser in the appraisal process. Okay? Then there's an umpire. It almost always goes to the umpire. 98% of the time. So there's a cost to this. So if you don't have to hire an appraiser and you use your public adjuster as the appraiser, now Citizens allows you to do that. There's other companies that do not allow you to do that, like State Farm. So now, and we'll talk about that, but if you don't have to pay for an appraiser and only the umpire, it's a shared cost, which is going to average between $2,000 and $3,000 that you have to pay. Okay. Not one Citizens claim that I am aware of had settled without appraisal or a lawsuit. Not one. And this is the largest insurer in Florida. At the time, they had, I think, like 1.3 million policies, maybe more. But by far, I think in second place was Universal or who might have been. But you're talking under 500,000 policies. So I put Citizens number 4 is what we learned, because the majority of people in the state with the hurricane will have Citizens, and this is how they operate. So the fifth thing we learned about were lawsuits. 80 to 90% of claims ended up in lawsuits. Now, I'm taking this because it doesn't include those that went to appraisal. Okay, this is only for claims or policies where they don't have the appraisal clause, like Heritage, Frontline. American Integrity. Okay, some of these companies do not have, I think Frontline does, but I think it might be both parties have to agree. I don't recall exactly. Um, or Tower Hill. Tower Hill, I think, has that language. So the majority of the Florida-based companies don't, and there's a reason for that. The reason why they don't have appraisal is because they could drag things out with a lawsuit. Companies like Progressive, Allstate, State Farm, the big companies like Citizens, they do have the appraisal clause. Part of the reason is they don't want to deal with the attorney fees. Part of the reason is that the appraisals, for the most part, tend to be kind of down the road, right? So the appraiser for the insurance company is going to write something real low, and then whoever represents you is going to write something real high, and there's usually that middle ground. Not all the time. Sometimes it turns out in favor of the homeowner. Sometimes it turns out in favor of the insurance company. But during hurricanes, it's usually in favor of the homeowner. So with appraisals, these companies will cost more due to the cost of the appraiser. So like State Farm, Allstate, Progressive, they have in their policy where the appraiser needs to be independent and competent. So State Farm, you're in good hands, or you're like a good neighbor, hated the fact that public adjusters can represent you in an appraisal because they tried saying we're not independent. Well, when 98% go to the umpire, of course it's independent. We don't have anything to do with it at that point as far as influencing a settlement. So they went as far as to the Florida Supreme Court to fight this. And then a little over a year ago, Supreme Court said, yeah, you know what? Public adjusters have a vested interest. They're not independent. So essentially, we can't represent you now with Progressive, Allstate, State Farm type policies if that language is in there. Citizens doesn't have that language. I don't know if Citizens added it, but last I've known from 2023, they haven't changed those policies. So renewals will be coming up for 2024, and maybe it's changed. I haven't heard anything though. So let's wrap this up. What did we learn? We learned that insurance companies can operate at a near criminal level of handling claims, and the state of Florida won't do anything about it, or the politicians. Immediately hire either a PA or attorney from the start. I never really recommend an attorney for a lot of reasons. But they're going to be out full advertising when there's a big hurricane and having people run around and so on and so forth. Expect a lawsuit if you don't have one of those companies where you have an appraisal. It's going to be 90% positive you're going to have a lawsuit, okay? Unless you want to accept less. So expect to be lowballed by both the insurance company and the field adjuster, 100%, no doubt about it. I saw it just too much with Hurricane Ian. Every single claim. Don't expect to get fully paid on a claim for at least a year after the hurricane. Could it be sooner? Possibly, if you have the appraisal. But if you have to file the lawsuit, it will not get settled before a year because the insurance companies are going to drag it out. This is the playbook. Everything that I've just told you is the insurance company playbook. I really should make a book and sell this because it is invaluable information. So if you know what they're doing and what they're going to do to you, now you know how to approach a claim. Now you know there's things that you might need to do to protect your interests, your home, and to realize these guys aren't paying you. Hope you enjoyed this video. Once again, my name is Mike Keeler. I'm a licensed public adjuster in the state of Florida. Here's my contact information if you have any questions or need help with a claim. Thank you for watching.